It's such an amazing universe and it's such a great game. It's so beloved by the fans. I'm not surprised that it's being rebooted.
Milla, how are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm great.
You're looking
Okay.
so festive. I love the tree and the daisy top. It's like it's a breath of fresh air.
There's a lot going on my screen, I just realized. Monster Hunter, the new film based off the video game series. And look, you are so great at being a part of these video game adaptations. You're like the secret sauce, but what do you think the secret sauce is to making a video game adaptation work?
I think, of course, you got to appeal to two completely different audiences. Number one, you want to satisfy the hardcore fans of the game because they're so invested in something that they've played over and over and spent so much time like giving love to. But at the same time, you don't want to kind of, isolate people who have never played the game and who, an audience that would like to see the movie too, but might feel like, oh, if I don't play the game, like I'm not going to know what's going on. So I think it's a fine line. It's something that, we did with Resident Evil as well, was like, how do you kind of make something that appeals to both the people who love it and the people who have no clue what it is. I think part of that, my husband Paul, who writes these movies, he wrote the characters, like the lead, which for me was somebody that wasn't a part of the video game. And in that way, I could play the audience as well, to like come into the game for the first time and see it through kind of fresh eyes, like an audience member would. So, he gives the people who are fans, like, all the things that they love from the game, but at the same time, for people who don't know the games, like he gives them the lead character who's discovering it with them.
Right.
So, I guess that's what it is. I don't know. To be honest, I have no clue.
Well, because there are so many fans of the game, do you have a favorite like Easter egg or tie-in that was put into the game that fans should be looking out for when they're watching the movie?
Oh yeah. First, I think something the fans are really going to appreciate is the barbecue scene. And which is really funny because it's like this huge action-packed movie with these monsters that are bigger than life and these incredible landscapes and crazy action sequences. But look out for the barbecue scene because it's really exciting.
It's like, you don't want to miss the barbecue scene. So Paul W.S. Anderson is the movie's wonderful director, but he's also your husband in real life. What's the greatest thing about your collaboration with him?
Paul has such a huge imagination, and he was the dungeon master when he was a teenager. He was always the one writing all the scripts for him and his friends to play Dungeons and Dragons for hours. So, I love that part of him. And for me, I've always been such a big fan of sci-fi and fantasy myself. He allows me to be able to go into these crazy alternate universes, and he writes me these incredible characters with, that do extraordinary things and make me feel like a superhero. So, what's not to love? We have so much fun together.
Yeah, and I think the sets are gonna maybe become a family affair at some point because your daughter Ever is following in your footsteps. How do you feel about that?
My goodness. Listen, as a mom, on the one hand, I'm terrified because I know how difficult this industry is. And on the other hand, I'm overjoyed because I feel like my child has found their passion and has been very focused on it for since she was 5 years old. So it's one of those things, like for me being a mom, all I want is for her to be happy and to find something that she loves, and for all my kids, so I think with the right guidance and, she's a set baby. She's grown up on sets with her dad and I, and, it seems like the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Who better to guide her? So she got cast as young Black Widow. How did you react when you found that news out?
We call her Baby Widow.
Baby Widow. That's amazing.
No, it really is because she's such a fan of the Marvel movies, and Ever is just such an incredible talent. She's a real natural, and it was so wonderful to watch her on set. Like, just being so in the moment, and everyone was so impressed. I mean, literally, she had everybody crying during one of her scenes. She's amazing. I think people are going to be really, really impressed with her when they see the movie next year. And she just got part of Wendy Darling in the new Peter Pan and Wendy movie. So she's going to, well, the whole family's going to Vancouver next year to be her entourage.
That's awesome. When are we getting Milla in the MCU?
I've become a hangers on.
When are we getting Milla in the MCU? That's what I want to know.
Oh man, listen, I would love it, but at the same time, being a mom of 3 is like such a crazy job just in itself. And then I have my husband who keeps writing these scripts for me. So it's a wonder I have time for anything else.
Yeah, no, that's a good set though. So this is not your first Capcom collaboration, of course. The Resident Evil franchise is so beloved. How do you feel about the franchise being rebooted? How are you feeling about that?
Listen, I read about it online, and it's such an amazing universe, and it's such a great game. It's so beloved by the fans. I'm not surprised that it's being rebooted. It's something was so much fun to film for me, and I think everyone's gonna have a great time doing it.
So if they call you up for a cameo,
and which characters? I mean, it's always like so exciting to know like who's gonna be in it, what's the story. I can't wait.
Yeah. So if you could tackle any other video game franchise, which one would you want to tackle? If you could pluck one out.
Since I became a mom, I don't really have time to play video games that often. I guess like just from the look of it, I was always kind of depressed that they made Final Fantasy into just like an animated movie. Like I would have loved to see Final Fantasy as like a live action.
Yes.
So maybe something like that. I mean, I love sci-fi, I love fantasy, so that like goes completely in that genre for me that I love so much.
I love that. I'm out of time, but Hellboy was underrated, and it's so great to talk to you.
Oh, thank you so much. You have a great, great holiday.